Parliament today approved the supplementary request by the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, for 11.6 billion Ghana cedis. But that was without drama, as the minority sought to pass a vote of censure against the Minister of Finance for breaching the Fiscal Stability Act by spending extra sums on the COVID-19 fight. Parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku-Gakpo joins me with more. Joseph, so the Finance Minister has got the all clear to spend the money he requested. Let's begin from there.
And this was after the debate on the request was actually concluded today, led by both the minority leader, Haruna Iddrisu, and also the majority leader, Chairman Sabonsu. A number of arguments were made even before the approval was eventually given. The minority leader has been raising concern that the country's debt stock is reaching proportions that are actually unsustainable. He, based on that, went on to make the argument that the Fiscal Stability Act that was passed by Parliament in December 2018 and subsequently assented to by the President, which requires that when it comes to budget deficits and expenditures in terms of borrowing, that's particularly on the expenditures on borrowing, shouldn't go anything beyond 5%. And that act specifically says that if even it goes a percentage point beyond 5%, sanctions should apply against the Finance Minister who supervised that. Haruna Iddrisu was making the argument that we've seen a breach of that act, and so those sanctions should apply, except that there's been responses from those on the majority side. Dr. Marcus Beyeboa, who is the chairman of the Finance Committee, makes the argument that that same law makes provisions for what they call force majeure, which could be a situation that may arise, which were not foreseen. And the law specifically makes a provision for public health emergencies being one of the said possible force majeure situations. So despite the argument by Haruna Iddrisu, the minority leader, the majority makes the point that he didn't read the law to the fullest of it, which is how come he's making all of that argument. But on that, earlier today, the Finance Minister laid before Parliament. In fact, when that document was laid, although he was expected to lay it, he wasn't around himself. The Minister for Monitoring and Evaluation, Dr. Kutose, laid a separate paper in Parliament today, asking Parliament to suspend the act in question in terms of its implementation to allow for the Finance Minister to spend beyond that, because now we're gathering that the amount in terms of borrowing is hitting somewhere around 7.4%, which is far above what the Fiscal Stability Law requires. And we're gathering that on that specific request,
all right.
For the suspension of the act, Parliament's committee, another committee will be sitting tomorrow to look into that as to whether they should agree with the Finance Minister's request for the said waiving of that law in particular. But eventually, the House approved the supplementary budgetary estimate, and now the Finance Minister has all clear to spend the amount.
And so the minority is seeking today to pass a vote of censure against the Finance Minister for breaching the Fiscal Stability Act. Talk to us about what transpired. What was the outcome of that?
So the processes haven't begun. Nothing has been filed in the House. What has happened is the minority leader, Haruna Iddrisu, is serving the notice that this is something that the minority will do. And all the explanations that are coming up that COVID-19 related expenditures have been on the high side, which is why this has become necessary. It's not something that they on the minority side are buying. First of all,
okay, apologies.
The expenditures have been going up long before COVID-19 became a big issue, and they think the economy is being managed in a very irresponsible manner, which is why they need to get those sanctions applied.
Okay, we'll keep following that. Thank you so much indeed, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, live for us from Parliament. We apologize for the quality of network connection there, but that's the latest from Parliament, approving the 11.6 billion Ghana cedis requested by the Finance Minister. You're watching Business Live.